Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about why your intelligence makes it impossible to take action. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably a high achiever that has goals and you're looking to accomplish certain things in different areas of life, like business, fitness, career, relationship, and you have a vision, you have a strategy, you have goals. But when it comes to putting the rubber to the road, there's a lot of internal resistance. So the main problem that I face, and I'm sure a lot of you individuals face, is going to be that of being trapped in analysis paralysis. Now, we could intellectualize and use our logic to try and uncover 101 different reasons that we experience this resistance, but I'm going to frame this video from a more objective and structural look at us as individuals, us as high achievers, and what it's going to take to actually see the results that we want to see. Now, odds are you have the knowledge, you have the information, you set the goals, you've done the research, you probably have experience in a list of success in other areas in life, and you're ready to tackle this next level, this new version of you that is the unknown. It can be a little scary. It can cause a little anxiety because you're going to embark on a journey you have yet to conquer. But you're also probably stuck in a vicious cycle of watching more YouTube, reading more self-help books, buying more courses. I'm going to break down how odds are you are missing one of the key pieces of the action equation. You've clearly checked off the knowledge box, but there's one other key ingredient that I want to unveil to you over the course of this video that is really going to bring your transformation and your next levels of wisdom and success to life. But before I do that, I want to break down two different things. So one, like I said, we're going to look at this from a more structural and framework side of understanding how intelligence can be something that makes it impossible to take action. And two, I want to look at the endless cycle of predictability that we could find ourselves in when it comes to checking those things off our to-do list that we're struggling to take action on. So the first thing that we're going to cover is how the more consistently we increase our level of knowledge, the more consistency in our research and our strategy and our goals we set daily, weekly, monthly, the more we are actually wiring our brains and our neural pathways for inaction. So we know the brain has a variety of chemicals, right? We've got dopamine, we've got serotonin, we've got endorphins, we've got oxytocin. But dopamine is a chemical released in the brain that is something that aims to get us to take action, right? Back in the day when we were hunters and gatherers and we were scrounging for food, we would have dopamine released in our brain to go hunt, to go look for food. That is like the action-driven chemical. But nowadays, because we have such cheap dopamine, we are shrinking that window of dopamine to where we get it from things like YouTube, self-help books, mentally masturbating to our goals and our ideas. So we're not actually taking action on things. We may be living that experience out in our head, but that's not the same thing as taking actions. And this is where all the overthinking, the analysis paralysis, and just validating this old identity of inaction and wiring our neural pathways comes from. So I consider myself a high achiever. And the more you aim to set out to achieve, the higher goals you set for yourself, you will likely come to this place where you realize your intellect will reach a certain limit, a max capacity, some may say. You may have exhausted your resources of research, goal setting, and everything you need to do to build the plan of survival to tackle the next challenge. But if you do not take action on those things, you are going to burn out. You are literally going to face mental exhaustion. I've gotten to a point where my brain literally does not want to work. It's like saying, Grant, I'm done thinking. I do not want to think about these things. You've thought about these things enough. So that is a signal that we have reached our limit intellectually. And it is also a signal that we are continuously wiring our neural pathways for this inaction. all of our life, we've been wired to live through analysis and performance and research. In school, when it comes to writing papers or studying for tests or just regurgitating information, we'd spend all of our time seeking out information. In work, it's all about data-driven performance, analytics, making the proper decision. And this is all coming from a fight or flight state. If we really break it down to the structure of things, our body has become addicted to the chemicals that are released when we have this experience. The reason we plan so much, the reason we strategize so much, is because we're survival creatures. We do not want to die. In entrepreneurship, I have been on suicide missions, and that's okay. Going through that season, I know that I can survive it, but even to this day, if I've experienced a new level of stress, a new level of anxiety, I find myself trapped. My brain's found another reason to not take action on X, Y, and Z that I know are the non-negotiables. And if you want to see immediate growth and a change in your trajectory, it's going to come from doing the thing that you know you need to do. The hardest thing, the thing that's at the top of your to-do list subconsciously, even though you consciously might find things to stack of more importance in front of it. The needle mover that you have identified in your mind, if you can get that thing done, you're going to set into motion the momentum and energetics of action. Now, if we continue to fall victim to this anxiety and this stress, then we're just going to live in a state of avoidance. And this avoidance is fake action. You are literally avoiding that needle mover. So you're going to stack your to-do list with things that are literally pointless. It's like consuming empty calories or filling your life with fluff. Your overthinking strengthens the circuitry of this inaction. So when you're doing things of avoidance, like watching more YouTube videos, doing more planning, working on logos, working on business plans with ChatGPTs, that's literally avoidance. It's not actually doing anything that has substance to actually do the work. Now, this is going to be something that strengthens the circuitry of your brain that validates the identity of inaction. The more you validate this identity of inaction, the more you are wiring your brain and your neural pathways to more effortlessly fall into that identity and those behaviors and patterns. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So the more you overthink and spend your time giving your time, energy, and attention to planning, to strategizing, to watching another YouTube video, the more you are validating the identity associated with those behaviors and actions that started because of the thinking and strategizing. Now, there's 3 things that we can do to start to move beyond this identity and rewire ourselves. And the first thing is going to be selective inattention. That's a fancy way of me saying your most powerful tool is no. In every dimension of your being, in mind, body, and soul, no is your tool. In your mind, it's going to be saying no to thoughts that don't serve you. That negative thought of fear, worry, doubt. No, Grant, we don't think like that anymore because that's not who I want to be. That feeling of anxiety and survival. Nope, Grant, you're abundant. You have more potential than this. Your spirit is not scarce. The more we can use selective inattention to our advantage, the more we are going to strip the emotional connection we have to this identity of inaction, right? Because as a high achiever, you likely unconsciously place a lot of your self-worth on this pedestal of accomplishment and success and growth, and just continuously chasing win after win. If we can remove the energy and attention we place on that pedestal, we're going to reclaim a lot of our power to consciously redirect our attention and focus. This identity of inaction that we have wired ourselves for becomes unconscious. So the odds are your intelligence and your pursuit of knowledge and your pursuit of information has become an unconscious identity. It's become an unconscious loop that you feed because your biology, your neural pathways, the literal structure of your being is wired for it. And that's why I think it's so important to look at this topic from an objective view. If you know that you are literally turning your brain into a predictable map of inaction, then let's just stop doing the things that create the inaction. We don't need to get all emotional and over-identify with these things. When you go on a walk and you decide to listen to a YouTube video or a podcast, that's the moment you step in and consciously redirect that energy and be like, hey, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to focus on being present. I'm going to focus on regulating my internal state and overcoming the anxiety and fear and worry that comes with that. There's no easy way to avoid that hard work of learning to become more present with the things we're going to experience in our internal world. Which is why, in order to unlock this conscious redirection, the thing that you're going to need to master is awareness first. We're going to need to adopt a bird's eye observer view of our experience. And when we do this, we're going to filter our awareness through the action equation that I have over here in purple. Now, your intelligence is knowledge, which is the first part of the equation. But what they say is knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, right? Things can often be balanced through 3 different dimensions, right? Once you have the information and you apply that information to action or an experience, you're able to synthesize, hey, this is what I thought it was going to be like. This is what it was like. And now I'm wise enough to know this is what I'm going to face next time, right? That's 3. Another way to look at it is you have to go from thinking to doing to being. What does this look like for the identity of inaction? You spent so much time overthinking your strategy that the thing you do is the avoidance-based fake action items, like watching YouTube videos, building logos, planning, strategizing, mentally masturbating. You're engaging in this 3-step process, in this equation of action, just for the wrong things. That's why it's important to look at this framework, but make sure we're consciously redirecting our energy and attention to the identity that's going to get the things done that we want to get done. Now, you know better than me. You've set the plan. I'm just aiming to give you a structural and objective framework to look at your life through, to evaluate your inner world through, that will give you tools to tackle any challenge, whether it's business-related goals, finance-related goals, relationship, health, mindfulness. Awareness is the tool to all things. Because if you're able to objectively look at the inputs you have, everything from what you eat, to how much exercise you do, to the amount of time you spend consuming content, to what type of content you consume, to the actions you take, to the level of leverage that these actions have, if you're able to just observe those things and not emotionally attach to them, you're going to be able to evaluate and redirect, right? Then we just go through this 3-step process. Hey, these are all the things I'm doing. What things do I need to place less attention on? What things do I need to say no to? That's selective inattention. That's the first step, because you need to get rid of the things. So if you get rid of YouTube and reading and ChatGPT, you're freeing up a lot of your energy, attention, and focus. And then you need to consciously redirect. You know the things you need to do. In 2025, if you want to start a business, you probably need to post content. There's just no way around it. It's the highest leverage thing. So do that. But don't watch a video on how to make content. Go make the content, because you have the knowledge that you know you need to make content, but now you need the experience. You need to go post this video and be like, what worked for me, what didn't? And as soon as you do that, you post 10 videos. Now you've got 10 videos worth of wisdom, right? You see how these 3-step processes unlock a level of action that allows you to be a strategizer, but also an executor. And just remember, awareness is at the center of all of this. If your goal is growth, if your goal is progress, we can't just fall back into unconscious living, right? Because you might start taking action, but you might fall victim to the unconscious identity of someone that only does the bare minimum level of business, right? You might post the same videos, but they might get 100 views. They might not get the type of leads you're looking for. You might have the wrong messaging, right? I'm an entrepreneur, so this is how I look at the world. I'm going to need to go through this process again. Hey, I need to get rid of the habits that have validated this new identity that's keeping me plateaued at this level, and I need to adopt that identity through awareness and an observational perspective of the next level. How can I improve the things I do? How can I be more strategic? How can I unlock more leverage? right? Now, if we can start living through the selective inattention, the conscious redirection, and always have awareness at the core of it all, we're going to be able to tackle any challenge. If we can tackle any challenge, we're going to consistently have a feedback loop where our knowledge meets experience and we have wisdom. And when we do this, there are 2 things you need to master, and it will allow you to ascend to whatever heights you want to ascend to. One is always going to be reclaiming attention from unconscious loops. Because the more you do certain things, even if they're good for you, they're going to fall into the unconscious mind. They're going to fall into the subconscious, where they become automatic habits. Now, in order to evolve from these unconscious loops, just know you have wired your mind to seek out a certain experience, and you've programmed your body to seek out the emotional experience associated with that, right? So if you get the feeling of avoidance and anxiety from inaction, but you have the thoughts where you're like, I'm intelligent enough to make this happen, just know that's the unconscious loop that your body's going to become addicted to. So you're going to need to practice nervous system safety in the face of uncertainty, because the things you desire lie in the unknown. And because we're survival creatures, the unknown is scary. It can be perceived as a threat. So in order to do this, we're going to have to consistently use selective inattention, conscious redirection, and awareness to evaluate our internal world. When we can evaluate our internal world and adopt this perspective in the things we do, we're going to have an objective framework to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. The more we do this, the more we're going to solidify a new identity at the level that we want to achieve. Whether that's taking action in business, relationship, fitness, you get the gist. Now, the second thing, it all comes down to self-mastery of your internal world. I don't care what you want to accomplish on the external world. If you do not take inventory of your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts, right? How positive, how optimistic, how goal-oriented you are, or how negative, how pessimistic, or how fearful your thoughts are, then you're going to be stuck in that paradigm, those unconscious loops. You have to be careful of what emotions you're addicted to, right? If you're addicted to the feeling of, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not taking action, I'm always going to be afraid, I don't have what it takes, that's what your body's looking to recreate chemically. And that's okay, we all go through these things. But this is why it's important to have an objective framework of how we work as a literal biological entity, biological being, to navigate, right? If you know your brain and body are going to act like that, you're prepared. You have awareness. So when you have awareness, then you can just say no to things that you don't want to place your attention on, and you can consciously redirect that things to the stuff you plan for, to the things you strategize for. Now, if you can unlock self-mastery of the internal world, choosing action will eliminate the overthinking. The reason you have to overthink is because you're not meeting that knowledge with experience. Flow state appears when you take action. When you're no longer contemplating or intellectualizing something, and you're actually having to use what's in your head to create something. Those videos you watch about business, those videos you watch about making your first piece of content, you will unlock experience and wisdom through action, and it will bring a completely new perspective, because odds are the knowledge you consume are from someone else's perspective, from someone else's own unconscious loops, from other people's goals and how they view the world. So you're going to have to go experience that through your filter of experience. And then you're going to be able to unlock wisdom on how to better work with yourself to achieve the things you want to achieve. Now, if you can cultivate awareness in your inner world, you literally have the keys that the greatest thinkers of all time have told us about. Whether it's Jesus, Buddha, Steve Jobs, just whatever influential person you can think about, it started with awareness. When you become aware of what you're investing your time, your energy, and attention into, you can more consciously place your attention and focus on things in alignment with the goals you want to achieve. And when you can master awareness, attention, and focus, you become a very dangerous individual, where you can match your level of intellect with your level of execution. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is kind of my systematic framework view of how we can grow as individuals and overcome the analysis paralysis that intelligence sometimes drops into our life through inaction. If you like this video, if you want to learn more about these types of things, go check out the channel, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.